Tensions are boiling over at Ferrari, and the recent Grand Prix has pushed things to the brink. A fiery exchange during the cooldown lap revealed deep cracks between the drivers, with one of them openly venting frustrations in a way we rarely witness. What really went wrong at Ferrari? And has this latest drama exposed why the team has struggled to secure a championship since 2007? The drama unfolded during the cooldown lap when Charles Leclerc, feeling betrayed by his teammate Carlos Sainz, lashed out over the radio. His comments signaled a major breakdown in trust within the Ferrari camp. Known for keeping criticisms behind closed doors, Charles chose this time to speak his mind publicly, saying he's done putting the team first if they can't reciprocate the same respect. The incident stemmed from Carlos overtaking Charles as he exited the pit lane, a move that violated clear instructions from the team. For Leclerc, this wasn't just about losing position, it was a culmination of frustrations. Despite being asked not to attack, Sainz took advantage in the DRS zone, forcing Leclerc into a defensive stance that compromised his pace and race strategy. As the two clashed, it became evident that Ferrari's internal dynamics were unraveling. The team's engineer tried to calm Leclerc, emphasizing the importance of tire management, but his response laden with anger made his feelings clear. Leclerc said, "I did my job, but being respectful always backfires on me. It's always the same story." These raw emotions reflect a driver fed up with sacrificing his performance for the team while receiving little support in return. Adding fuel to the fire, Leclerc hinted that from now on, he would prioritize his own race strategy regardless of team dynamics. This breakdown came after a chaotic first stint, where Leclerc struggled with tire degradation while attempting to overtake George Russell. After losing positions to faster cars, including Sergio Perez and Max Verstappen, Ferrari had to rethink their approach. However, the team's questionable decisions during pit stops only added to the tension. By keeping Leclerc out on worn tires and pitting Sainz earlier, they effectively gave Sainz an advantage, setting up the clash that followed. Ferrari's strategic missteps weren't limited to the pit window alone. Data clearly showed that Leclerc was faster on the hard tires, and had the team orchestrated a smoother swap of positions, he could have easily retained his edge. Instead, a messy sequence of events unfolded. Sainz delayed the position swap, costing Leclerc precious lap time more than enough to jeopardize his race. The turning point came when Leclerc exited the pit lane on fresh tires. Team radio communications had assured him that Sainz was instructed not to attack while his tires warmed up. However, Sainz ignored these directives and overtook him in the first DRS zone, catching Leclerc off guard. What made matters worse was the team's subsequent insistence that Leclerc conserve his tires, a request that must have felt hollow given Sainz's actions. As frustrations reached a boiling point, Leclerc's sharp response to his engineer, "What do you want me to pick up?" captured the discontent perfectly. Ferrari's failure to enforce their own team orders not only cost valuable seconds, but also widened the rift between the drivers. This disarray underlines a much deeper issue within the team's management and strategy execution. To add to the chaos, the Ferrari pit crew's lack of preparation for Sainz's stop further compounded the situation. Despite Sainz signaling his intent to pit several laps in advance, the team repeatedly delayed his entry, only to finally call him in when it was already too late. This uncoordinated approach left both drivers vulnerable to undercuts, as Hamilton and Norris capitalized on the confusion. Leclerc, clearly disillusioned by the events, made no attempt to hide his disappointment during post-race interviews. While avoiding specifics, he strongly hinted that the team's failure to stick to pre-race agreements had been a key factor in his frustrations. "I always respect our plans," he said, "but this time I was let down." His statement carried an unmistakable message: the trust that holds a team together is now in jeopardy. On the other hand, Sainz chose a more diplomatic stance, opting not to discuss the incident in detail with the media. He acknowledged the chaos surrounding his pit stop but insisted that any disagreements with Leclerc would remain private. "These things need to be handled behind closed doors," he remarked, emphasizing his preference for keeping such conflicts out of the public eye. Yet his actions on track painted a different picture, one of a driver unwilling to yield, even at the expense of the team's overall performance. The ripple effects of the Las Vegas GP are being felt not just within Ferrari but also across the broader Formula One community. Fans and analysts alike are questioning whether Sainz's aggressive approach is compatible with a top-tier team. While he's had his moments of brilliance, such as his victories in Monaco and Silverstone, his refusal to adhere to team orders has sparked concerns about his reliability as a team player. Sainz defended his actions, claiming his own frustration stemmed from Ferrari's indecision regarding his pit stops. According to him, he had repeatedly requested to pit earlier, recognizing that Leclerc was faster and needed clear air. However, the team delayed his entry, only to scramble at the last second when he finally committed to the pit lane. This lack of preparedness not only cost Sainz time but also sowed the seeds of further miscommunication and tension between him and Leclerc. Despite these justifications, Sainz's decision to overtake Leclerc directly contradicted the instructions he was given. For Ferrari, this breach of protocol is a serious issue. It signals a breakdown in authority that could have long-term implications for the team's ability to manage its drivers effectively. When teammates clash on track, it's the team's responsibility to step in and mediate, ensuring that such incidents don't repeat themselves. The broader problem lies in Ferrari's strategic mismanagement. While their car showed promise on the long straights of the Las Vegas circuit, they squandered their potential by failing to prioritize one driver's race. With Leclerc chasing second place in the driver's standings, it would have made sense to back him fully, especially given his consistent pace advantage throughout the weekend. Instead, by allowing internal conflicts to spiral out of control, Ferrari ended up losing valuable points. Leclerc's post-race comments further highlighted his frustration. He admitted that while the car's performance on hard tires was solid, the disastrous first stint on mediums had already compromised his race. The drop-off was sudden, and it hurt us badly, he said. However, his real focus was on the lack of respect shown by his teammate. We discussed these things before the race, and I always stick to the plan. From now on, I'll only look out for myself, he declared, signaling a potential shift in his approach to racing. For Sainz, the fallout from this race is equally significant. His decision to prioritize his own race over team instructions has drawn criticism from fans and experts alike. Some argue that his actions were justified, given Ferrari's repeated strategic blunders. Others, however, see his defiance as evidence of a larger issue, one that has prevented him from securing a long-term seat with a top team. As the dust settles from the Las Vegas GP, Ferrari's internal turmoil has reignited discussions about the team's long-standing struggles with leadership and strategy. While both Leclerc and Sainz had valid grievances, the lack of cohesion between the drivers and the team underscores deeper problems that have plagued Ferrari for years. Leclerc, often regarded as Ferrari's future, finds himself in a precarious position. With a new teammate set to join in 2025, likely one capable of challenging him for the championship, Leclerc's frustration with the team's inconsistent support is understandable. For a driver of his caliber, being subjected to questionable strategies and internal conflict is not just frustrating, it's career-threatening. Sainz, on the other hand, is leaving Ferrari at the end of the season, which might explain his reluctance to follow team orders. However, his actions have not gone unnoticed, with many F1 experts pointing out that his refusal to prioritize the team's goals is precisely why no top-tier team has shown serious interest in signing him. Despite his undeniable talent, his behavior in high-pressure situations raises concerns about his ability to function within a team framework. The Las Vegas GP was an opportunity for Ferrari to secure a strong finish in the standings, but their inability to manage their drivers effectively resulted in yet another missed chance. The strategic errors began with Sainz's delayed pit stop, which not only disrupted his race but also impacted Leclerc's overall performance. By failing to prepare for a stop despite repeated warnings, Ferrari demonstrated a lack of clarity in their decision-making, a recurring issue for the team. Even after the race, the tension between the two drivers was palpable. Leclerc openly criticized the team's handling of the situation, while Sainz adopted a more cautious approach, deflecting questions about their clash. "It's not the time to talk about fault," Sainz said, emphasizing the need for internal discussions rather than public scrutiny. However, this diplomatic response did little to ease the tension, as fans and analysts continued to debate who was truly at fault. The aftermath of the Las Vegas GP has left Ferrari with more questions than answers. For a team that prides itself on its legacy, moments like these highlight the need for a complete reassessment of their approach, both on and off the track. With a driver lineup as talented as Leclerc and Sainz, Ferrari should be capitalizing on opportunities, not squandering them due to internal mismanagement and fractured relationships. For Charles Leclerc, the message is simple: trust within the team is no longer a given. His frustrations, while raw and public, reflect the feelings of a driver who has repeatedly been asked to compromise his performance for the sake of a team that often fails to deliver in return. His shift in priorities, focusing on his own success over the team's broader goals, could bring both challenges and opportunities in the seasons to come. Carlos Sainz, as he prepares to part ways with Ferrari, must reflect on his role in this saga. While his talent and instincts are undeniable, his decision to defy team orders in a critical moment highlights the complexity of balancing personal ambition with team loyalty. Whether this race will define his legacy at Ferrari or serve as a learning moment remains to be seen. As for Ferrari, the need for change is more urgent than ever. The cracks in their strategy, communication, and leadership are impossible to ignore. Addressing these issues will require not just incremental improvements but a cultural shift within the organization. From clearer team directives to better pit wall coordination, Ferrari must embrace a forward-thinking approach if they are to return to their championship-winning ways. Ultimately, the story of the Las Vegas GP is not just one of missed opportunities but also of valuable lessons. In a sport where precision and teamwork are paramount, Ferrari's struggles serve as a cautionary tale for all teams aiming for greatness. The season may be winding down, but the work for Ferrari is just beginning. With the right changes, this iconic team has the potential to rise again and reclaim its place at the pinnacle of Formula One. The question now is, can Ferrari learn from its mistakes and build a future worthy of its illustrious past? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain: races like Las Vegas must serve as the catalyst for meaningful transformation. Without it, Ferrari risks being stuck in the shadows of its competitors for years to come,